Well then, how's it going everybody? Welcome back to my channel. It's Dave and we're here for a video that I'm really looking forward to getting into really. It is a Season 1 review of my Football Manager save with my beloved Wolverhampton Wanderers. So, you may have seen a couple of screenshots and stuff on Twitter. If you don't follow me over on there, go and do that. There's been a few teasers, but I've left it on a little bit of a cliffhanger because this season has been unbelievable for many different reasons, and I'm going to be going through everything with you now. Somewhere on the screen, if not, it'll be in the description. I'm going to split this video into separate parts. So we're obviously going to be looking at results, tactics, transfers, squad, everything really. But if there's only a specific part of the video you want to see or skip to, then obviously I'll leave timestamps in there as well. Quickly, in terms of content, obviously, again on Twitter, I said that I really wasn't enjoying making content. But with me actually sitting down and playing a save of Football Manager without having to have breaks in between and stop and record and stop and record, it's been unbelievable, and it's the most I've enjoyed a Football Manager save in a long time. So I think from here on going forward, this is probably something I'm going to do, like a season review. And I know I talked about a Pentagon Challenge. I think if I can play FM and continue to join FM at the rate that I've got through this first season, then definitely it's going to be something that I'm going to be doing sooner rather than later. So Wolverhampton Wanderers, Season 1. Nothing too special about it. Obviously, no amended databases or anything, just vanilla version of the game. And, yeah, let's jump straight into it. So, the first thing I'm going to do is look at who I've signed. We're not going to look at any of their individual stats or whatnot. I'm going to look at who I've signed, and then we're going to go from there in different results and different competitions. So then, first signings. Well, we'll go for the players that are actually on their way out at the end of this season. You can see the transfer budget. We will go through this more shortly. It's huge. It's £62 million. But to be honest, the club finances are in bits. They are non-existent. So the board had given me £62 million. But before our prize money and stuff had come in for the Premier League, we had under £1 million in the club. So that's why I was very cautious about spending any money to put the club in the red. Hopefully next season we'll get a bit more money. And obviously there'll be player sales as well. But players that are actually going to be leaving, and all of these are on freeze. The first two is Sylvain Delon. He's going to Lens. Flavio Cristobal is going to Mafra. Boubacar Hane is going to União de Madeira. Obviously, Helder Costa was a pre-arranged deal going to Leeds. I'm hoping that I get that £15 million in. And then the other player that's actually coming into the club is Giuseppe Leone, coming in from Juventus, is central midfielder. And he's a player that we're getting just for a compo deal. And he's going to be someone that probably sits in our academy or our under-23s for a year or two anyway. So then, in terms of transfers, now we'll start off with the ins. And we're, of course, as I said, we'll go through the players a little bit more. These are the players I've brought in. So nothing too major, not a lot of money spent. The first one being Andre Almeida, young Portuguese midfielder from Vitória in Portugal. As I say, we'll go through him a little bit more later on. Zlatan Ibrahimovic, he doesn't really need any introduction. Signed for £500,000 from LA Galaxy. He was a player that I really wanted to compete and play in and around Jimenez, Jota and Cutrone. Next player was a right wing back from Dinamo, Petar Stojanovic. Again, right wing back, didn't really get a lot of game time, but I'll explain why shortly. Player Darius Grosso, I can probably show you him. Vitorul, he came in. A couple of the main things that I wanted to do with this save was break records. One of the records that I always want to look and beat is Steve Bull's goal scoring record, because it's such an unbelievable record. And I always think I'm going to have to sign someone from like the age of 18 and almost have him until retirement with him scoring 20 plus goals a season for me to ever break that record. So that one's tough, but anything else, I really want just a really strong youth academy. So he was one that I looked at, and he's okay. He's got decent potential ability, but we'll have to see how that goes. And then the most recent player was Carlos Alenya. Brought him in on a deadline day loan deal from Barcelona because there was other players that I wanted to bring in, didn't quite work out, so he came in and he's done the job, to be honest. I'll show you obviously more about him later. Now, in terms of out, loads of players left on loan. So the first one that went out on loan was, well, we've got a few here. Oscar Burr went out on loan to Plymouth. Mehretan Shabani had a really successful loan move out to Swansea. As you can see, they finished in second in the Championship. They got promoted, and Shabani was a big part of that. 8 goals in 38 appearances for them, having a really, really strong season. So it'll be interesting to see if they come back in for him to loan him again in the Premier League, or whether he'll be part of our first team plans. Philip Otuayi left, 500k, he went to Hamburg. John Kitolano, Yang Ming Yang, Sondergaard, they all left on loan. Now this one I was a bit cheeky with. Ivan Cavallero, who's obviously out on loan at Fulham. I noticed you could recall him. I recalled him and sold him straight away. £15 million in the bank, thank you very much. He went to Newcastle. Jordan Graham, Mayunga, Partington, Francis, they all went out on loan. Jackson Smith left the club. Connor Ronan went back out on loan after he returned in January. Soccer went out, he left the club. Pedro Neto wasn't really getting any game time. He went out on loan to Millwall, grabbed 3 goals there in that time. John Ruddy left the club as well. Didn't really kick a ball for us, to be honest, or catch a ball. He didn't really play much at all. He sold him to Derby because his contract was going to be up. And Max Kilman and Owen Otasawi both out on loan as well. So they're the transfers in full. As I say, not a lot of money for me, like that I've spent personally. Finances weren't great, but to be honest, I didn't feel the need to sign players. I was happy with the players that we had. Sticking with Nuno's philosophy of a small squad, and it worked out quite well. So what I'm going to move on to now is the results in different competitions. So we're going to start off with the pre-season friendlies, almost immaculate other than 1 loss. So this was a very, very slow process. A couple of wins in there. Adama Traore actually bagging in quite a few of the games, but no one too strenuous. Beating Sochaux, Marseille. The loss came against this team I've never heard of in my life, which was a little bit shocking, but then beat Queen's Park. So, you know, it was one of those standard pre-season games, really. Now, we'll start with the cup competitions. Really, really disappointed, to be honest. In the FA Cup, we were knocked out in the 3rd round against Watford. We took them to a replay, Jota scoring, and then Zlatan Ibrahimovic did get a goal in the return leg at home, but we lost out 2-1 in the end. Pretty disappointing performance. I really wanted to go on a decent FA Cup run. Obviously wasn't to be. We'll move on to the Carabao Cup, and things were even worse. This came at a really strange point in the season. Obviously the Carabao Cup was early doors during the season. It came during the Europa League. It came during such a period of thick and fast fixtures. We actually played Spurs back-to-back, I think. Did them in the league, and then they did us in the cup. But yeah, Lucas Moura, Cole Walker-Peters, we were off to a dreadful start. Harry Winks and Dele Alli. So as you see, we're out of both domestic competitions early doors. Now we're going to start with the Europa League, and this did not go to plan at all. You may have seen this on my Twitter. So, interestingly enough, we played Crusaders. Obviously, Wolves played them in real life in the second qualifying round. We beat them 3-0 and 4-1. The first game we beat them 3-0. Neves, Matinho and Conor Cody grabbing a goal. Crusaders did get quite an early red card as well, which didn't help them. And then the return leg at Molineux, we beat them 4-1. Doherty grabbing 2 and Jimenez grabbing 2. In the next round, we played Bnei Yehuda. I think they're from like Israel or someone like that. Yeah, I'm correct. We beat them 5-0 and 1-0. First leg was done and dusted. Jota scoring twice. Adama getting on the score sheet. And Patrick Catroni scoring twice as well. Catroni then scored a penalty in the return leg. And then in the last qualifying round, we played FC Midtjylland, beating them 5-0 on aggregate. 2-0 win with Adama scoring twice. And then beating them 3-0 away. Jimenez scoring twice and Adama scoring. And then we got drawn our group. So we played FC Utrecht from Holland, Sparta Prague, obviously from Czech Republic, and Besiktas from Turkey. Obviously, Besiktas in Wolves group in real life, and I thought, yeah, we should get through this group. First game, we lost 1-0 to Utrecht. 35th minute goal conceded, Simon Gustafsson, and we could not get back into the game. Second game, Sparta Prague losing out 3-2. A 95th minute goal conceded to give us a defeat. That was a real kick in the teeth. And then game number 3, a 2-0 loss to Besiktas. And from there on, I thought, you know what, we're screwed, we're done for. However, we did beat Besiktas 1-0 in the final game. Zlatan Ibrahimovic scoring the winning goal in that. We then drew to Utrecht. If we won this game, we would have got through the group, which is so frustrating. A 1-1 draw, Adam Meyer scoring, and then Jimenez grabbing the equaliser. And in the end, we smashed Sparta Prague 5-0. Patrick Catroni scoring a very, very quick first half hat-trick. Ruben Neves getting a goal in between that as well. And then Adama Traore putting it to bed. Unfortunately, not qualifying for the group. So, as you can see, out of the FA Cup, out of the Carabao Cup, out of the Europa League. So they just left the Premier League to focus on. And I've noticed there's spoilers there at the top. If you're clever and you clocked it, I rate you. So, Premier League, my God, we finished second in the Premier League. Now, let's look at the competition overview first. So, out of the Carabao Cup, out of the FA Cup, out of the Europa League. Second out of 20 in the Premier League. And not just second, look how close it was. 82 points. The title went down to the last day between us, City and Spurs, and all three of us dropped points. If I won my final game, I would have won the Premier League title. Unbelievable. The teams that went down in the Premier League were Sheffield United, Brighton and Burnley. Patrick Cutrone, an absolute bagsman with 24 goals. 6 goals in the Europa League for him as well. Of course, we'll go through all the players' individual stats a little bit more shortly. I'm going to take goal scorers off at the time being, just so you can see the greens and reds a little bit better. But you can see, great start to the league. We're beating teams we should be beating on paper. Newcastle, Watford, Villa, Norwich, easy. Give me the points. Then had a difficult patch against Arsenal and Spurs, but got 3 points out of the 2, which I'm pretty satisfied with. And then came onto a really tricky patch, Liverpool, City, United, where we still got 2 points out of a possible 9, which I wasn't overly concerned about, because we'd only lost 2 points up until the end of November. Only lost 2 games up until the end of November. Then we had a sticky patch come December, pretty disappointing results in there. But from the turn of the year, we were unbelievable. Look at that. Bournemouth, I think, were the only team to get a double over on us. And that's because I think the 4-4-2 is extremely overpowered in the match engine, and they did us quite well. That's how they were playing. But the title went down to the last day. The last 2 games were against Spurs, who, of course, if we beat, we would have won the title. Patrick Cutrone giving us a lead there, and Son Heung-min scoring. In goal was Will Norris to that game. He actually saved a penalty due to an injury to Patricio. And our final game was against Arsenal, a 0-0 draw. I think City lost and Spurs drew. But if we win, we would have won the title. But I'm not complaining, because a second place finish is unbelievable. Some huge wins in there as well. You'll see a 5-3 win against Sheffield United. Patrick Cutrone scored 4 goals in that game. A 4-2 win against Newcastle. A 4-0 win against Newcastle. Cutrone scored another 2. Leicester we beat 4-0. We beat them 4-0 twice actually throughout the season. Cutrone grabbing a hat-trick, and that was right after the game against Sheffield United. Cutrone went on a run of scoring about 11 goals in 4 games. He was unbelievable. City, I think, yep, scored a hat-trick against City as well. Some big wins in there. And to be honest, a really great and enjoyable season. I really did enjoy it. So that is that. And if I get all the competitions up, obviously, you'll see just a horrible patch throughout sort of September, October time, really, and that sort of cost us big time. Couple of defeats on the bounce there, but from the turn of the year, when we were actually out of all the competitions and just wanted to focus on the league, I think that's what we were good at. And because of the small squad, sort of similar to Wolves in real life, really, because of our fitness around here, it just wasn't working. We had some serious problems. I was having to rotate the team in Europe, and I mean, you look at that team against Utrecht there. There was some players that I didn't really, want to play, and I ended up playing them and so on. So, yeah, great season. And one of the things, obviously, you're thinking is, how have you done that? Well, I've used one tactic all season. I've not changed it all season. Not changed roles, not changed instructions, nothing. A couple of times, obviously, during the games, I've tweaked things. But here we are. This is the tactic. I'm going to quickly clear the side. But it is a 5-3-2 or a 3-5-2, whatever you want to explain it. So 2 strikers, 3 midfielders, 2 wing backs, 3 centre backs, and a goalkeeper. So the 2 strikers, I've not changed this all season. A deep line forward and pressing forward. Throughout the season, it tended to be Diogo Jota in the DLF role and Patrick Cutrone in the pressing forward role. It just seemed to work, and it was what was scoring us goals and what was winning us games. Midfield 3, Mezzala, ball-winning midfielder, and a DLP. João Moutinho, Leander Dendoncker, and Ruben Neves. Alenya obviously having a bit of a game in there. Morgan Gibbs-White was pretty impressive throughout. Almeida as well was having game time. So the original plan was to have João in the Mezzala role, Ruben in the DLP role, and Dendoncker in the ball-winning midfielder role. Neves and Moutinho sort of swapped between that role. Dendoncker was a mainstay in the middle, really. But what I liked most about the Mezzala is obviously they take more risk, get further forward, roam from a position, moving to the channels. It worked well for Neves. He scored some cracking goals from that position. And the DLP role, I think, almost Moutinho made it his own because he holds his position. Obviously, his pace is just slowly decreasing. It worked perfectly for him. Now, the wing-back position is, for me, one of the most surprising and most interesting things. So, if you haven't played Football Manager, especially this year, Adama Traore on paper he's quick and he's good at dribbling. That's about it. He's not got a lot for him. Ruben Vinagre as well, obviously at left wing-back, sort of similar. He's probably more well-rounded player than Adama, to be honest. But you would say, on paper, Johnny and Doc are our strongest wing-backs. There was a certain game where I played Vinagre, and I think it might have been one of the 4-0 wins. I played Vinagre and Adama, and they were pivotal in that win. And I just thought, if I want to go and start scoring goals, these two need to be a part of the team. And honest to God, I think since January, they were undroppable. Doc and Johnny could not get a sniff in the starting lineup. It was Adama Traore, who for me has been one of our players of the year. And I will look at him, and we will look at him a bit more. Adama Traore and Ruben Vinagre keeping Johnny and Doc out of the team. No chance for them to get back into the team. The back three was Vallejo on the left, Conor Cody in the middle, Willy Bolly on the right, and Rui Patricio in goal. What a team that was. Now, in regards to the tactic, I know a lot of people will probably ask me to upload it so they can download it and have a go. I'm going to give it one more season just to double check this wasn't a complete fluke. If it stays consistent and I get maybe a top 6 finish again next season, I will upload it for a download, do a video on it and whatever. Mentality was balanced. In possession, shorter passing, run at defence, higher tempo, narrow. In transition, distribute quickly, counter press. Out of possession, this was interesting. Lower line of engagement, lower defensive line. Get stuck in and more urgent. If there was ever I needed to push for a goal or whatever, I just tended to push those up a little bit. But it just tended to work so well. The main man, Moutinho, sat here over the top balls to Cutrone, who was there, and the rest was history, to be honest. You see the positives: goal scored from location, penalty area, opposition touches to goals ratio was good because we were just very good, even defensively as well. I was extremely happy with how this tactic played out and how this team played out. There was no special instructions really on players or anything like that, but unbelievable. So we're going to look at the players overall. So big up to Friday Night FM for these squad views, by the way. I'm just going to quickly, actually no, we'll keep it on. So overall, most appearances, Rui Patricio, he was undroppable throughout the whole game. I trusted him. Obviously, he could play more or less every game. He had a little spell where I think he missed one game due to injury right at the end of the season, which was the Spurs game. Because Rudy wasn't playing, he was out of contract, ended up selling him. And then Will Norris, I recalled him from Ipswich just to be a backup goalkeeper. So, Rui Patricio in goal. Of course, 32, he's not getting any younger now, but unbelievable. 16 clean sheets. I think he finished third in Golden Glove in the Premier League. 37 goals conceded. 32 goals conceded, sorry, in 37 games. Unbelievable for him. Great goalkeeper. I much prefer goalkeepers this year than last year. I hated goalkeepers on last year's game. I'm going to see if I can check penalties saved. Penalties conceded 2 and from, so he saved 4 out of 6 penalties this year. Unbelievable. So really happy with that. And Rui Patricio, great player for us, and really happy. So looking to keep him really as our #1 next year. Willy Bolly as well played 47. He was one of a number of players that played 47 games. As I say, him, Vallejo and Cody were almost undroppable throughout. Great player, valued at just under £30 million now. Played more or less every game in the Europa League. Just missed one game in the Premier League. I think that was due to injury. But other than that, unbelievable. Great player. Didn't actually score any goals. You think from set pieces maybe, but yeah, didn't score any goals. Although we did score a number of goals from corners this year. Vallejo, now this is such a weird, intriguing one. I've spoke to people that have just not rated him on this game whatsoever, but he's been so solid. And I'd be stupid to look at the back three and think, especially with him on loan, especially with him at such a young age, and look at his value, it's not very big at all, and think just for me to ignore him, because he, for me, could be a player that I bring in on a permanent deal in the summer. Obviously, there's nothing in the contract for me to sign him, but I am looking at him thinking, do I bring him in on a permanent deal? I think if I can get him for like less than 10 million, I think it's a no-brainer. Mentally, he's superb. Physically, he's good for a defender as well. A little bit lower on the marking and tackling and stuff like that, but still as a young defender, he's very good and worked very well for me. And playing as a central defender as well, rather than a ball-playing defender, which obviously I've got Conor Cody at. But yeah, decent player for me. Didn't score, got a couple of assists, got a man of the match as well in there as well. But yeah, overall good player. Conor Coady did grab a goal, obviously that was in the Europa League. 32 games in the Premier League, so he missed a little bit more, possibly due to injury. Yeah, he pulled his groin a couple of times. But yeah, great player, mentally fantastic again, and he's just a bit more well-rounded on this game. Ball-playing defender, great passing and so on. A couple of his balls pinged forward were nice too. And a great player. He's seen in the Europa League, his average rating was pretty good. But 192 games played for the club now for Conor Coady. João Moutinho, arguably one of, if not the player of the season. So assists galore. 18 assists for him this season. 3 goals in the Premier League, playing 36 games, 12 assists in the Premier League. You can see average ratings unbelievable. As a player, on paper, unbelievable. The only thing, obviously, now at 33 letting him down is his pace. Going down slightly, but still not horrendous. First thing I did when I loaded up this save was give João Moutinho a brand new contract, and it's paid off massively. Valued still only at £10 million, but obviously 110k per week now, and unbelievable player for us. And he did extremely well. Really enjoyed using him this year. As I say, as a DLP, at times using him as a Mazzala as well. So yeah, really happy with him. Leander Dendoncker. Now, he was actually one, believe it or not. Obviously, I had him in the ball-winning midfielder role. He was one that I was trying to get almost like a replacement for in January. So we looked at we almost signed Thomas Partey from Atletico Madrid. Had a loan deal agreed. Unfortunately, he failed his work permit. It had a future fee to buy him for about 16 million. I know he's gone over to China now in game. But Dendoncker was great. Decent player, did what he needed to do. Picked up those yellow cards occasionally, but 1 assist. No goals in there for him this season, but a really decent player. Did a lot of the dirty work. You can see great passing percentage, great tackle win ratio as well. Unbelievable player for us. Now then, the main man, Patrick Cutrone. Wow, he was unbelievable. 30 goals this season out of 48 games. Unbelievable return and unbelievable player. If this guy had 1, maybe 2 extra acceleration and pace, and maybe 1 extra finishing, he would have bagged 40, 50 goals this season. Unbelievable player. Shots on target in the league at 56%, which is great. 81% pass completion. Really good player. And just his form in general was unbelievable towards the end of the season when we went on a fantastic win run. A goal every 121 minutes in the Premier League. A goal every 71 minutes in the Europa League. Unbelievable return. 111 minutes a goal in the main competitions this year, which is almost unheard of for a striker. Such a great player. And you know I was on about that Steve Bull record. Could Cutrone be the man? And I need him to hit that form for 10 plus years. So it seems unlikely. But as a pressing forward, he worked a dream. And you look at that. What else, what much more can he improve there? Finishing's great. Some great attributes. Great determination as well. And he's going to be a player that I'm really going to be looking forward to using. I'm hoping it's not a one-off season for Patrick Cutrone. Ruben Neves was great as well. 6 goals and 6 assists. 6 goals for him. It was a great return. Some great long shots in there. Beautiful attributes. He's a player that actually I didn't really get enough out of last year on Football Manager. But this year I think slowly but surely he's becoming a fantastic player for me. Another player with fantastic average ratings. Pass ratio wasn't, well, I mean, it's still great in the Premier League, 80%, but wasn't overly fantastic. In the Europa League, it was a lot better. Actually got 4 goals in 9 games in the Europa League. But yeah, great player. Really good. Real great servant for the club this year as well. Jordan Graham, he's leaving the club. Diogo Jota was another player. Really decent return for him. 15 goals in the Premier League in the end. Valued at £32 million. A couple of clubs looking at him. I think Everton mainly, the club, and Crystal Palace. I don't think I'd accept anything less than sort of 60, 70 million for Diogo, to be honest. Great player again. Obviously can play on the wing, but played for us actually as a DLF, a deep line forward. And you can look at his attributes. Great finishing, great flair, great off the ball. Just seemed to work quite well. And at times, when the balls weren't being pinged over to Cutrone, they were being pinged over to Jota, and on his day, unbelievable. 2 young strikers, 2 hungry strikers that know where the back of the net is. Another player with great average ratings, and overall fantastic player. Great returns from him. 2 Man of the Match awards as well this season, and 15 goals is unbelievable. Now, one of the players I've enjoyed using the most, Adama Traore. Now look, like I say, attribute-wise, not unbelievable, but you got your key attributes there of dribbling, flair, acceleration, and pace. And now he's become a natural at right wing back, and that's how we've been playing him. And to be fair, other than his passing and tackling, which we will talk about in a second, he's got, almost the key attributes, but his pace does the work for him. Europa League, 5 goals in 11 games, 2 assists, 7.66 average rating, 83% tackle win ratio as a right wing back. In the Premier League, 21 starts, 10 coming off the bench, 5 goals, 6 assists, 5 man of the match awards, and another 88% tackle win ratio. We're tackling a 5. He was unbelievable this year. Wanted now by Manchester United. No surprises. What a player. Adama Traore. Really, really happy with his contribution. I thought he would be a player that I could get nothing out of on this save, and he's turned into a beast. Ruben Vinagre is the other one. Great player. Left wing back, complete wing back. It's where he's natural at. Work rate really helps him. His acceleration helps him. 4 goals for him. 5 assists. Unbelievable player, similar to Adama, really. A player that I've really enjoyed using. And that's kept these two out of the team. Johnny, the first one, still valued at about £30 million, but just not played as much as I expected him to. And Matt Doherty as well. He still started 17 games, didn't get much in the Europa League at all. Still a good player, Irish, obviously £20 million. He's wanted by Palace, who are actually sniffing around a couple of our players. Pedro Neto, as I said, didn't really get much game time for us. He played the odd game. He scored a goal in a non-competitive game, but other than that, because we had 4 strikers, he couldn't really break in, and because we weren't playing wingers either. Zlatan Ibrahimovic was one that I was pretty disappointed with, to be honest. Didn't really play enough games, but because he wasn't scoring, and when I was giving him game time, he wasn't performing. On paper, unbelievable. Physically, of course, he's not quite there with his quickness. So I suppose it didn't work. But whenever he played, I brought him on the DLF role. He's a player that I'm probably going to look to sell if I can, just because of his wages in January, in summer, sorry. But grabbed a couple of goals. His goals come against Villa, I think, which was a crucial goal. Scored as well against Besiktas. I think he scored a couple of important goals. Let's have a quick look who he scored against. Where was it now? Goal against Watford as well. So, you know, he was important for us. He did what he needed to do at times, but just didn't quite give me maybe the 10-15 goals I expected of him. Raul Jimenez, again, he scored 8 goals this season, but he started 5 Premier League games. He just didn't. With Cutrone and Jota on the form they were on, I just could not get him in playing games. Now, for my sins, I might actually sell Jimenez this summer, only because he's not getting any younger. Still could get probably 40 million for him if I tried. And he's on pretty hefty wage as well. So we will look at that. We will look at that. Had a great return in the Europa League, though, which is something that I've got to keep in mind. Romain Saiz barely kicked a ball for us this season. He had a shocker in the Carabao Cup defeat to Spurs. If I can get 10 million for him at 30 years of age, he's not great really on paper anymore, unfortunately. Morgan Gibbs-White was someone I was pretty impressed with. Played him in the Mazzala role a couple of times this season. Still only 20, still got great potential ability. I think we work on that long shots maybe a little bit more. I think he'll become a really, really talented player. Nothing too mad to sing about, but in the games he played for us, he was good. Added that little bit of flair, added that little bit of you know, talent in the team, and a little bit of energy that we needed, really. Ryan Bennett, he's actually a really good player on FM. Really decent player on FM. Didn't really get much game time, only when needed to be called upon, really. Didn't want to disrupt the back three too much. So we'll have to see where his future is. New player, Andrea Almeida, brought him in from Vitoria. Had a decent spell at the start of the season. May get loaned out for next season, but is valued at 4.6 million, 19 years of age. Good player, could be a great player. Plays as a Mazzala or DLP, which suits our style. A DLP probably suits him a little bit more. But yeah, may see him loaned out next season. Carlos Alenia came in on loan from Barcelona. Great player. Kept playing him a couple of times in the Mazzala role, which I think suits him. Can also play as a DLP. Yep, scored a couple of goals in the Premier League. I think his first goal came up against Sheffield United. And yeah, great player. Good player. A player that I may look to sign again on loan next season. Petar Stojanovic is a player that I'm definitely going to be selling. He's wanted by Fulham. Please have him. I'll make a profit on him for sure. I bought him for 3.1 million. If I can get that money back, I will be happy. Look, he started one game, and that was that Carabao Cup smashing against Spurs. Didn't play in the Europa League games. Came off the bench 5 times in the Premier League. And Will Norris, who came in, saved a penalty against Spurs, and got 1 appearance, and that was his only game. I think his contract is up at the end of the season, and that is the Wolves squad. So, in terms of finances, obviously we just had the prize money for the Premier League come in, so we've got 36 million overall balance. We've got 62 million transfer budget. There has actually been rumours of a club takeover. 3 or 4 messages I've had, and it's basically Jeff Shi or Guo Guangchang saying no, we're not interested in selling the club. But it is interesting that I keep getting messages about that, especially when the club aren't really in a great state financially at the moment, which I'm unsure why really. But I think I may sell a couple of players just to try and balance the books before I go diving in to the transfer window. One of the great things obviously about Football Manager is the club vision as well. So the first thing was sign Portuguese players, and they're very disappointed with that, which I'm pretty surprised about because I haven't really signed many players, and obviously one of them was Portuguese. So that's something I'll look to do a little bit more in the club culture. Sign high reputation players they're delighted with. Develop players using the club's youth system is difficult, and play entertaining football they're pleased with. Work within the wage budget, of course, I'm doing. So at the end of next season, I want us to qualify for the Europa League. Reach the group stage of the Champions League, which I should do anyway. And obviously our contract is up at the end of the season, but I assume they will give us a new contract as well. We'll quickly look at the performance, what they reckon about transfer activity. Carlos Alenya, the board are really happy with it. The fans are as well. The one they really don't like is Zlatan Ibrahimovic. They believe his wage is too high, which I believe with. But it is obviously in line with the high reputation signings. The fans are pretty happy with most things. It's the board that are pretty strict. Board are disappointed with Andre Almeida. You know, he's Portuguese and we paid very little for him. So one of them really. And the club vision, obviously, we've just quickly gone through. But yeah, I think that is that. If there's anything else that I forgot, I'm going to quickly remember. Training, I just left the standard. I did tweak with it every now and then. If there was a certain opponent that I was looking at coming up against, I was going to obviously tweak it, whether I wanted to attack corners a little bit more and whatnot, or do a little bit of extra defending. That's what I wanted to do. The one thing that I haven't gone through is the awards for the season. So Patrick Cutrone actually got the most goals in the Premier League. Unbelievable, beating Harry Kane and Wesley as well, who had a good season. As I say, Patricio came third in Golden Glove. Cutrone and Moutinho in Team of the Year. And then we've got all of that jazz. Now, in terms of Manager of the Month, I don't think I actually won Manager of the Month, but I was like second so many times. So I don't know who. Let's see who won Manager of the Year. Poch. Oh, and they don't give second or third places out anymore. Okay, fair enough. So Poch won it. I mean, yeah, he won the league, so I suppose he should win that. Footballer of the Year was Salah. Goal of the month. Oh yeah, let's look at our goal of the month. So where is end of season meeting? There, season review just before that. End of season award. So Moutinho got our player of the year, Cutrone second, and Adama third. Andre Almeida got signing of the season, and Cutrone got young player of the season. So I'm going to quickly show you this Ruben Neves goal. This is our goal of the year against Crusaders. I actually thought that it would be a different goal, to be honest. I half expected it to be. Moutinho scored a ridiculous goal against Leicester. So let's have a quick look at this. Johnny Otto down the left to Moutinho. Is that Neves lurking there? Go on, hit it, son. Hit it. Oh, mate, it is a sweet strike, though, isn't it? But it's against Crusaders. I'm pretty sure we scored as good or, if not better, goals in the Premier League, which is a little bit disappointing. But in terms of next year, in terms of signings, I've got a couple of players. So in terms of scouts as well, I set up a couple of different assignments. I got one, obviously, looking at different ball-winning midfielders. Obviously, that's what I wanted. A couple of guy looking at hot prospects, some English players that would be maybe interested in signing for us. And a couple of them, obviously, looking at different competitions. In terms of scouting priorities, let's have a look. So we've got some of these players being scouted at the moment. There's someone that I'm really, really interested in that I'm looking at signing. So first one being Sandro Tonali, he's wanted by United and City. So we almost signed him in January for about 30 million. The board blocked the deal. So I might look at signing him again. As a DLP, he looks so good at just 20 years of age. So he's a player that I might look at signing again. Obviously, Thomas Partey is not going to be coming. David Silva's leaving on a free. He's coming in. This guy I'm trying to get in on a free as well, just to join the academy. The other player that I was looking at, let me find it. I took a picture of him earlier on. He's from Sporting. He's called Eduardo Quaresma, and he's actually someone that I want as part of my first team next year. Sporting under 19s at the moment. I think he looks unbelievable. At the age of 18, he could be part of my squad next year for sure. And he's Portuguese, fits that bill, but I don't think Sporting would let him go for anything less than sort of 15 million. So he's a great player. I've already declared my interest in him. So he's a player that I think I might try and bring in as well. And in terms of other things, I just want to bulk out the squad, make it better, sell players that aren't playing. Bonatini will probably go. I'll probably get about 10-15 million for him because he's bagged 12 in Portugal. Anyone else, Miranda will go. Graham will go. A couple of players out on loan as well. Players that haven't really played, and just bulk out the squad really. No one massive coming in on deals on free transfers. But it's players that I want to join and I want to play. And I think the current 11 is something I don't really want to disrupt. If we could bulk out the squad with quality, that'd be unbelievable. But guys, my voice is about to go. I've really enjoyed this series, this save so far, this season, and making this video for you all. An interesting season, finishing second. We're going to be in the Champions League next year, which of course is going to be a really interesting task after we flopped in the Europa League. But I really did enjoy it, and I'm really hoping that you will. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below. Hit the like button if you want me to do more of this thing. Obviously, I will continue to do so. And I will test the tactic out for this next season. If it's good enough, I will go and upload it. But yeah, really appreciate you stopping by. Hopefully, you have a great Christmas if you're watching this before. If you're watching it after, hopefully you have a great New Year. And until next time, guys, I'll see you all very soon.